Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let's Bet It. I'm Alex Glaze, joined by Jared Smith and the Colonel, Mark Zinno, full bird in the middle. How are we feeling today, boys?
Full bird. I like that. Is that a nickname you've heard a lot, Mark?
Well, I do now that I wear the ring, full bird.
It's pretty cool.
People have given me
like
the bird, if that counts. I'm all grown up at this point, so.
Listen. We got some Game 7 action last night. It did not disappoint, so let's run it back and let's have another day today with some more Game 7, some more action. Zinno, we're going to talk about your Rangers later on in the show, but we have plenty to get to before we take it to the ice. But before we get to that, make sure that you are subscribing to the Pickswise morning newsletter, Wise and Shine. It's free. And it provides everything that you need to know to start your betting day. And it's all just a simple email. Just click the link in the description on our YouTube page right now. And if you're watching the stream, it's very simple. Just click that and join up, because you definitely don't want to miss out on any of the sharp plays that the people behind the scenes are giving out, because they are putting in some work, whether it's single game, totals, sides, same game parlays, mega parlays, props. I mean, listen. We got some sharp people working behind the scenes, and they're doing some great work. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter and check out all their hard work, and don't miss out on any of those plays. But that being said, we have a big show today, guys. We are obviously going to start with baseball, because we got a game that starts in less than 2 hours with the Braves. We'll get to that, right? A little early start there. Then we're going to get into some NBA morning radar, because we have 2 Game 7s on the hardwood that are surely going to deliver. Hopefully going to deliver. We got some more Game 7s on the ice, so we're going to give out some ice picks and finish things off with our plays of the day. So without further ado, gentlemen, let's bet it. And let's start with Better Up. Let's talk some baseball. YRFIs, 11-5. Yes run first innings, 11-5 yesterday. 25-15 over the last 3 days. Jared, you love a yes run first inning, and obviously you like getting them at plus money. Do you see anything on the board that is catching your eye today?
I do. I'll add to the data briefly. We crossed the 1,000 game threshold recently in Major League Baseball in terms of both teams playing, 1,000 games. And right now we're seeing 28.2% as the average first inning scoring rate across Major League Baseball, after each team has had 1,000, chances here. So one thing to keep in mind, if the math gets a little funky after that, but if you take the inverse of 28.23%, you get about 71.7%. And then if you multiply that by itself to represent the top half and bottom half of the innings, you get the NRFI rate this season right at around 51.5%, which is about minus 106 odds. So keep that in mind. Again, that's the average. You have to adjust when you see starting pitchers that are bad or good, or lineups that are bad or good. But if you take the average lineup, the average starting pitcher, and the average game in a vacuum, 51.5%, minus 106 odds. That's the average NRFI rate so far this season. That being said, the plus side of that is plus 106, which kind of gives me a little bit of a baseline for where I'm trying to look for. Don't really want to bet anything below plus 106 if I'm looking at YRFIs. And the YRFI that I like today, the Yankees and the White Sox, plus 112. Above that rate, when I look at the starting pitcher matchup, Nestor Cortes is a bit of an anomaly for me. He's pitching well above where anyone expected him to be. Arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball so far this season. 5-1 to the NRFI in his 6 starts. The one time he allowed a run in the first inning was on the road. He is on the road today against the White Sox. Michael Kopech, starting for Chicago. He is kind of volatile. He's all over the place. 3-3 to the NRFI or YRFI this season. They're both even. But 3 times this year he has started at home, and he has allowed a run in the first inning all 3 times that he has started at home this season. So no home cooking for Michael Kopech. Meanwhile, the Yanks have hit 5 straight YRFIs. They scored 2 times. They've conceded 3 times in that stretch. The White Sox, obviously, they've played each other the last few days, so the White Sox have also hit 4 out of their last 5. And the reason why I really like this, because we're kind of fading Nestor Cortes just a little bit, because the White Sox hit lefties better than anyone. They're first in WRC plus against left-handed pitching this season. So I'll take a nibble on the Yankees White Sox YRFI plus 112 over at FanDuel. I do have a NRFI today too, but I'm going to save that for the end of the show because despite pushback from Alex Glaze, I'm gonna use a NRFI as my.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you have it later on in the show. I'm gonna let you have it because you're about to have your day ruined by.
That's okay. I've had my day ruined by many things before.
Go ahead, Zeno. What do you have to say? Go ahead.
WRC plus, is that a code name for a cola? What did I miss here?
I catch a niner in there? You're calling from a
walkie-talkie? Please explain to the listening audience what your WRC plus is. And forget the listening audience. Explain it to me.
Sure. Weighted run creation plus. It takes your on-base percentage. It takes a couple of other statistics. I think slugging percentage, runs scored, and it creates an equation and it ranks the teams accordingly. Fangraphs is the site that I get this data from. WRC plus. Weighted runs created plus. That's what it's short for.
Hey, Glaze, knock. Knock. Nerds! Nerds are there! Nerds! We're all here, the nerds!
Listen, if there's one sport where the nerds win, it's baseball.
It's true.
It's baseball. Yes.
That is true.
Yeah.
Good point.
So, listen, if you were talking like, football, basketball, that nerd stuff, I'm like, yeah, baseball. I'm like, okay.
Okay, nerds, bring them out. Let's go.
Nerds!
All right, let's talk some baseball plays because all right, I'll give mine out first because Zeno, you can speak to this. I'm looking at this Braves game. You're right in Atlanta, obviously. Kyle Wright over 5.5 strikeouts at plus 124. I really like the price here. It's kind of like a buy low spot on Kyle Wright, right? Because he hasn't looked great in his last two outings, and I think that this is a good bounce back spot for him. I don't think he could possibly have looked worse than he did in his last outing against the Red Sox, right? Gave up 7 hits, 6 earned runs, only struck out 4 and 4 2/3. Even though he hasn't cleared 5.5 strikeouts in back-to-back games, he has cleared it in 4 of 6 starts. So he started off strong and kind of like, just hasn't had the right stuff in the past 2 games. So I'm looking for him to bounce back, and I'm looking at his game log, and he's already faced this Padres lineup, right? And struck him out 9 times earlier this season. And then, this is going to sound kind of stupid, but also, this game, I believe first pitch is like 11:45 a.m.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Why is it so early? Well, I don't understand. What's going on in Atlanta today? They're doing an 11:30 game. It's not a doubleheader, right?
No, it's not a doubleheader.
No, because that's what I thought it was a doubleheader. It's not a doubleheader.
It's not Patriots Day in Boston.
Apparently they want to beat Atlanta traffic, I guess. I don't know. It's
on a Sunday.
On a Sunday,
makes a lot of sense.
Weird. That's a
but
weird.
So I'm looking at Kyle Wright over 5.5 strikeouts at plus 124 for my baseball play today. I really do like that. I feel like he's capable of he can give me 9, 10 strikeouts, or he can give me 4. Right? Like that's kind of who Kyle Wright is. And this Padres lineup, I believe the Braves struck him out 12 times yesterday. And Charlie Morton looked great. So I'm looking for the Braves pitching staff to continue with their strong outings today. All right, Zeno or Jared, who wants to go next? Because you guys also have some.
What do you got, Mark? Go ahead, give me something here before I give you the strikeout.
I have 2 NRFIs for you. One you're really going to like. One, and again, I hit my threshold here at my NRFI at Cincinnati and Pittsburgh at minus 120. But these are 2 of the bottom feeder offenses in Major League Baseball. In fact, Pittsburgh has only scored in the first inning 21% of the time. Cincinnati, while they're a little bit higher at 26%, they haven't scored in their last 3 games. They get Hunter Green on the mound. So that's enough for me for a NRFI in this spot. And then I had to go back to Coors Field, Jared, our favorite spot for a NRFI. Now, this is gambling at its finest.
Yes,
I'm getting plus 124 here, which is a number that I really like. But you and I have dove deep into the NRFIs at Coors Field. Austin Gomber on the mound for the Colorado Rockies. Little concern there. He was banged up in his last start. He gave up a first inning run. And in his first start, he was banged up and gave up first inning run. The 3 starts in between, though, quality starts, all of them. Didn't get touched up in the. He's at home where he's got better splits. So I'm not worried about Kansas City, who's got one of the lowest scoring offense and the lowest scoring first inning percentage of any team in Major League Baseball. Where the worry is in the gamble is Daniel Lynch is starting for the Kansas City Royals. He's bad. He's been banged around a ton. He's been touched up in each of the first inning in his last 2 starts. In fact, Colorado has scored a run in the first inning in the 2 previous games in this series. Now, here's what I'm hoping for, and this is why it's a gamble. Colorado has scored 20 runs in the first 2 games of this series. Let's get a little baseball regression on a Sunday, shall we? Where you get not the full starting lineup, or you get not the full starters coming in, guys getting rest and days off and things of that nature. Let's just hope. If the runs are going to come, they're going to come late, and Daniel Lynch can get through the first inning. But at plus 124, I'm willing to roll the dice and gamble for $1.25 back on my dollar. So let's go a NRFI at Coors Field.
I never mind the NRFI at Coors. I don't love this pitching matchup today.
No, I don't either.
But I don't mind. Like I think like my theory is, and it's not profitable right now, but my theory is, at the end of the year, we've got plenty of time. There's only been 18 games at Coors Field this year, so there's 82 minus 8. There's still 64 games left. I think the NRFI will be profitable at Coors Field at the end of the year. It's not right now. It's 11-7 of the NRFI. The yes is like almost a unit up. The no is like basically 2.5 units down. I think at the end of the year, the NRFI will be profitable. But I'm not willing to bet it today. I don't like the pitch matchup today.
To your point, because
but it very well could hit.
Because you're always getting plus money, you don't have to go. You don't have to hit at 52% like you normally would if it was minus 110. So that's why it's only down, 1 unit. Let me get you one more baseball play for me real quick. Tristan McKenzie, starter for the Cleveland Guardians today against the Minnesota Twins. Over 5.5 Ks for him at just a modest minus 104. Now, Minnesota averages over 9 strikeouts per game at home. That's third to last in Major League Baseball. You get Tristan McKenzie, who has gone over this number in 4 of his 5 starts this year. The only time he didn't go over 5.5 was against the Chicago White Sox, who have the lowest K rate in Major League Baseball. Plus, Minnesota has struck out an average of 10 times a game over their last 3 games. Give me Tristan McKenzie over 5.5 at minus 104.
Like that.
Jared,
we got a question in the chat for you, actually, about live betting Man City. They're down 2-1 right now, I believe, in the 56th minute. If you have any thoughts, just putting you on the spot here.
No, let me look at it right now. I was looking at EPL this morning. I think today's the last big weekend of EPL. Yeah, today's the 37th. They play 38 matches, and most of them played 37. I think next week they play 2. I mean, listen, Man City is 3 up on Liverpool right now to be the first place team in the EPL. And I'll be honest, if Man City loses today, I'll take it a step further. I don't have an opinion on this match today. But if Man City loses today, who does Liverpool play next? Because then they'll be 3 points down with still a match to go. They play Southampton on Tuesday. So whoever asked that question in the chat, thank you for the question. Circle this match. If Man City does in fact lose, they are down 2-1, then we circle the Liverpool match on Tuesday, and we just unload on the Reds. And the Reds, I don't know if it's at Anfield or not. It's not. It's on the road. But we still like Liverpool on Tuesday if Man City loses. So keep that in your back pocket for Tuesday.
There we go. We got another comment in the chat here. I don't know if this is true or not, but from Michael. Early MLB Sunday games are due to the Peacock MLB deal. Games must start before noon.
That's right. They are on Peacock today. That's right.
That's so stupid. I'm going to have to start tracking these early games and see if there's any data discrepancies.
Interesting.
Would you think it would favor the hitters or the pitchers?
I think it would favor the pitcher.
Probably the pitcher.
So Kyle Wright.
You think the lineup's a little sleepy?
You're backing Kyle Wright. That's why you think it favors. I would say it favors the hitters, but who knows? Pitchers are creatures of habit, man. That's why their day numbers are usually lower than their night.
Yes. The day-night splits tend to be very different.
Day-night splits are always something to look at. There's a reason. Some guys are better during the day than they are at night because they just enjoy getting out of bed early and getting into a routine quicker. Some guys aren't. It varies from pitcher to pitcher, but day-night splits are definitely a thing in Major League Baseball. And plus, baseball's trying to get the younger crowd, right? So they want the kids sitting on the couch, to pull out their phone and watch their Peacock.
Sir,
that sounded weird, but I'll let it go.
Sir, you can get Peacock on many different devices. You don't have to pull out your phone just because you still have cable and only use your remote to change the channel.
I am not cutting the cord, man. I am locked in.
Peacock is.
I'm telling you, in 3 years, when you were all searching for chords, I'm still going to have mine.
It's true. I have one more K prop I'll give out today. I have one more K prop I'll give out, but I'll be honest, I'm not very confident about it because the line has like moved like 40 cents against me since I bet it this morning. So I will give you the disclaimer that clearly there's some sharp money or just some people out there that are fading this bet, but I am on Jose Quintana under 4.5. I got minus 138. You can get plus money now on FanDuel. When I looked at this, I don't see like swing and miss kind of stuff for Quintana. His K rate's just the 36th percentile amongst all pitchers in baseball this year. And his ERA has been good, 2.7, but his expected ERA is over 5. So he's kind of dodging some bullets early in this season. And it's his lowest, he's getting generating his lowest Ks per 9 since 2013. And it's the lowest overall K rate of his entire career, right at around 20%. Now, Cincinnati, I know Mark is taking the NRFI here. They actually do strike out a lot against lefties, which is a concern. Maybe that's what people are looking at when they're betting the over on Quintana today. But over the last week, the Reds actually, their offense has been playing infinitely better. 7th highest WRC plus, Mark's favorite stat. And the 5th highest walk rate. So they're generating some longer counts and they're scoring some runs over their last week. So I took the under 4.5 with Quintana. Again, you can get a much better price on it now at plus money, and I would still bet it, obviously, at plus money. But if you like to be with the flow of traffic, then this is clearly a contrarian bet because people are betting the over on Quintana today. But I'm on the under, so we'll see if he ruins my day.
I like it. One more thing about Kyle Wright. I'm sorry. Because I have to watch this game now, right? Like now I know it's on Peacock. There's nothing going to be on 11:30. I have to watch Kyle Wright bring my bet home, right? Like I have to watch that. Does the fact that we're talking about a West Coast team factor into this at all too? While we're talking about the time difference, because they've been in Atlanta for a couple days now.
Yeah,
does that matter?
Atlanta.
I think they're okay.
Okay.
Usually it takes about 48 hours to get your body clock right, but it's worthwhile again. And I would look at Musgrove too while you're looking at his day night splits. You know, that may be more of the effect than anything is on the pitcher. The guys, the batters have already played. You know, they've went through a routine. The pitcher is going through his routine for the first time on a different body clock might be the issue.
Good, very good point.
All right, let's move on. Talk some NBA. Start things off with some red hot chili proppers before we break down these games. And let's start with Drew Holiday. 20.5 points. Which way are you all leaning? Jared, I will start with you real quick. Drew Holiday over 20.5 points. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, well, he's basically split the pair here. 6 games in the series, 25, 25, 24, the overs. The unders were 19, 16, and 17. So he's kind of been floating right around this number all 6 games. I think overall my vibe on props in Game 7 are unders, especially because this total has dropped from 207 to 206. I think it's very hard to bet a points prop over when a total is at 206. So I'll say under on Drew Holiday.
Zeno?
Well, I would say this much. Well, I'm not going to play this one way or another. If it goes over, the Bucks win. If it goes under, the Bucks likely lose.
Probably.
I agree.
I mean, it's really that simple.
It's really that simple. I kind of along that same line, while I am also not playing this, the Bucks need Drew Holiday to score more than 20 points if they want to be.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about the game later. We like the Bucks, right? If we think that the Bucks are going to be in this thing, we think Drew Holiday can also produce. So he's going to definitely be a big factor in that game. The other side, we got Al Horford over 21.5 points plus rebounds. I'm liking the over here. I think Al can give you 15 points. Is it rebounds or is it assists? It's rebounds.
I would be cautious of getting the 2015 Al Horford for more than one game in this series. What he did in Game 4 was the anomaly.
He went from 30
if he goes over this number. Yeah, if he goes over this number, it's Boston's winning this game handily. I don't know if he'll play enough in a Game 7. He'll get in the rotation early, but when the game gets tight or late, he probably might not be on the floor that much.
I can't trust Al Horford. I can't trust Al Horford to go over that number. This number's jacked up because of that one game. And he hasn't even sniffed. Like, if you go back to, like, earlier in the year, like, this is not – like, he's staying under these numbers for the most part. He had 2 really good games in this series. The rest of the series has been very pedestrian for him. So I'll say
well, he's gone over. I'm looking at the points and rebounds right now. Went over it in game 1, over in game 2, over in game 3, over in game 4. The last 2 games, he's gone under. So he's kind of like
well under
come back
the last 2 games.
Maybe. Yeah, well,
yeah, I would say the first 4 games probably was the anomaly, and now that things are tightening up, I think it's trending downward, I would say.
I just say in a game 7 like this, I would stay away from anybody who's not a main component when it comes to
totally agree. Absolutely, 100%.
Why?
Well, stars come out in game 7.
You talk about Drew Holiday. It could be Grayson Allen or Pat Connaughton who has 20 points tonight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, one of those guys could step up, and the Bucks can still win this game. It's like I'm not taking a prop for anybody other than Giannis in this game.
Okay, I'm not no arguments for me there. Let's talk about that game before we get into the other 2 props here. Bucks Celtics, Boston 5-point favorites at home. Totals 206.5. We are all liking the Bucks. Jared, we talked about this yesterday. I mentioned that the Bucks have won on the road in this series, right? They've won in Boston twice. And those 2 wins, they were 4.5-point dogs and 5.5-point dogs, right? So they've covered this number and won outright both times that they've been around that 5-point dog. This is a tight game or a tight series. These are 2 evenly matched teams. I expect a tight game. So I'm going to take the 5 points here. I think it's Bucks or pass for me, right? Like, I don't think you can convince me to lay 5 points with the Celtics. The Celtics might win this game, but I don't think you can sell me on laying 5 points with Boston.
100% agree. This is Boston. If you were going to ask me who's winning this game, I would say Boston. Who's covering this game? Milwaukee, probably. Like, that's kind of how I feel. And if that's how you feel, there's other bets to make today, because then you're trying to thread the needle.
Agreed.
If you do feel passionately about Milwaukee winning this game, then absolutely you should take 5. I'm seeing 5.5 at some spots too. So you absolutely could get a solid number with Milwaukee. You might even be able to get a 6 out there floating around in the universe. Probably not, but I definitely see some 5.5s. And I think Boston maybe is the better team. But what did we just say about game 7 stars? I think Milwaukee has the brightest star on the floor at all times, and that will likely keep them in this game. But they will need a big game from one of those guys you mentioned, either Portis or Holiday or Allen or one of those guys, to win this game. But I think Giannis can keep them in it, and that's why if I don't have a bet on the spread on this game, but if I were to make a bet, I think taking the points would be the way to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll back the Bucks here. They've covered 8 of their last 10 on the road, dating back to the regular season. Plus, they have the best net rating in the playoffs at 13.8. So the chances of them covering this game are pretty good. One thing I really do like in this game, and I wish the number was a little bit different, but I understand why it's not. The first half under is at an even 100 points right now. This is going to be a slower game. It's going to be a tight game. But theoretically it should be at like 103, right? I mean, those 3 points might make a huge difference, and I would feel a little bit better about it. But do you see 53-50 being the score at the end of the first half?
One of these teams is going to get 50. I think one of these teams is going to have a rough shooting quarter early on, and it's going to be slow.
Well,
I don't know which one, but someone's going to start slow.
Generally, game 7s go under, right? They're tighter. Teams take more time with possessions. They want to get higher percentage shots. There's not a lot of rush things. The tempo may be a little bit slow. Look, the
whistle might be a little bit.
Who are the officials? No. Who are the officials? That's the question.
We don't know yet. I don't think we know yet. We'll know very soon. But I think the vibe usually is they let more go in game 7. Now, maybe they don't today, but if I'm like trying to replay previous game 7s, they're a little more rough and tumble.
Yeah.
Again, one more prop here. One more prop here I want to get to, because this full disclosure, I've been back and forth on what my play of the day is going to be.
This is not decided already.
No. I just changed it. This is not going to be my play.
Fine, Justin. Sorry, bud.
What do we think about Bobby Portis over 8.5 rebounds? He's going over this at minus 130. He's gone over it in half the games this series. He's been kind of like up and down. He's a rebounds guy, right? Like this is where this is going to be his role today, right? Like snagging boards.
Well, if it's going to be a slow-paced game with a lot of misses, then yeah, you're going to see rebounds. I mean that in hustle, like it's a hustle stat according to us. Assists and points are style stats. Rebounds are hustle stats, and I put Portis in that category for sure.
I mean, let me ask you this much, and I didn't check what his rebound number was, but if Giannis grabs 20 rebounds, what did Portis get in last game?
Let me look.
Because that's the real rub, is how many more is Giannis that's going to take away from Portis?
I mean, you can always bet Giannis's rebounds number too. You can bet them both.
Well, no, I understand. I'm just saying, if Giannis has a 17-type rebound game, is there room for Portis to grab that many rebounds?
Well, here's the difference. So they lost the last game, and Boston made a ton of their shots. They made over almost 44% of their shots. Do we think Boston's going to make more or less than 44% of their shots today? If the answer is less, Giannis had 20 and Portis had 10. And if we think Boston's going to make less than 44% of their shots, which is what they made in the last game, then there will be more, you would think, theoretically, rebounds available. So 20 and 10 was what Giannis and Portis did in the last game, and we're thinking Boston's going to go under 108 points and under 44% shooting today. Theoretically,
I can't wait for Bobby to grab 17 rebounds today and for my play of the day to miss. I can't wait for it. It's inevitable at this point, right?
So then do Portis is your play of the day.
No. At this point, I'm already off Bobby Portis. We've decided. We've decided I'm off Bobby Portis.
I'm literally going to get on my phone right now while you're doing this and bet Bobby Portis is over rebounds.
I'm just putting Bobby Portis over 8.5 rebounds into the universe.
I could be the beneficiary.
Here you go. We're all betting Portis rebounds right now.
Out in the universe for all the good people. You're welcome in advance.
And Portis 8.5 rebounds.
But the other game 7 we got today, obviously, this is the big one here. Mavs Suns. I mean, this has been a crazy series, a very volatile series. It was a 6-point spread yesterday. Now Phoenix laying 6.5 points. That total, another low total, 205 points.
That's insane.
Points would be really low.
It really is.
That is insane. Like, guys, I wrote this game up for the Pickswise website, and I am a glutton for punishment when it comes to the totals in this series. I backed the over in the first 2, and it went over. I backed the under in the next 4, and they all went under. This number dropped 6 points from game 6. It was 211. This is insane. Like, I get Dallas having a 205 total. This is just nuts. It's over or pass for me. My play of the day isn't this. It's related to this. But like, there's just no way this game doesn't go over. The only way this game stays under is if it's a one-sided blowout and the other team doesn't get to 100. That's it.
Yeah. It's really tough. 205. I mean, you're talking about 1990s NBA totals here when you start getting to the 200 threshold. I will say this about this game. We talked about it yesterday with Jonathan Montalvo, who does an incredible job analyzing and predicting and kind of seeing where the numbers are falling. And Dallas has value to me at 6.5. I think we might even get a 7. I don't think we will, but we might. So I think it's worth waiting until this game's 8, 9, 10 o'clock Eastern. It's worth waiting at least until the early afternoon, early evening to see if we get another half a point movement, because people are betting Phoenix. The early splits that I'm seeing on MGM are slanted towards the Suns, 60% of bets, 70% of handle. So there's a chance we get another half a point. But to me, this game is all about Luka Doncic. He is the best scoring player in the history of elimination games. Let me repeat that. In the history of the NBA, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain, not even close. Luka's averaging 39 points per game in elimination games. LeBron's at 33.5, MJ's at 31, Wilt's at 31, KD's at 30. It starts and ends with him. If Luka goes over and he does his thing, the Mavs cover this game. Just like we talked about before with Drew Holiday being kind of that pivot point for Milwaukee. It's easy for Dallas. It's Luka Doncic. So I'm playing Dallas 6.5. I'm going to, again, wait. We might get 7. But I think I'm going to do a little fun same-game parlay with Luka's props today. Over 34.5 points over 8.5 rebounds, 9.5 rebounds, excuse me. And Dallas plus 6.5. That's almost 4-1 at FanDuel. And again, very, very correlated. If he goes over points, Dallas is probably covering this game. The rebounds, I think, is the coin flip, but he's been really consistent with double-digit rebounds in the series. So we'll have some fun with a little SGP sprinkle. But I think Dallas covers this game. I think they're live to win, too. Wouldn't be shocked if they won this game at all.
What I would say, Jared, one thing I would say, if you're going to do a same-game parlay, what are your thoughts on minimizing your risk? And instead of doing Luka over 34.5 points, just do Luka 30-plus points, right? Instead of 9.5 rebounds, Luka over 8 rebounds, right? Because I'm looking at the points prop, right? And I just think that especially for a guy like Luka, the lines, I don't know how they do it, but they're so sharp. Like, I think his 100%. Points prop last game was 33.5, and he finished with 33. Like, I would hate for him to finish with 34 points and 10 rebounds, and your play not to hit, right? Because he can have 34 points. In Dallas.
I agree, and I think if you want to ladder it effectively, you can maybe put a little sprinkle on the bigger one, and then another little sprinkle on the more conservative one, and then if the conservative one hits, you'll cover your action for the bigger one, and you won't lose much, or you won't lose anything at all, depending on how much you risk. I think that's totally fair, but I think this game is Luka or bust. And on the other side, it's Chris Paul. I mean, he's been the guy that's been so volatile in this series. I think the extra day of rest will help him, but I don't know how much it will help him because I know at 37, it's tough. It's tough for you, CP3. I get it. But wear and tear.
Let's talk about Chris Paul a little bit because that's one of our red hot chili proppers here. 26.5 points plus assists for Chris Paul. Gentlemen, your thoughts, because I'm looking at this and I'm thinking under. He's only gone over this once in this series, and that's when he had 28 points in game 2. The last 3 games, only averaging 8.3 points and seven assists. I think it has more to do with like JVT said yesterday on the show. I think it has more to do with how Dallas is defending him than it does with Chris Paul's ability. I think that they have kind of figured out how to minimize Chris Paul and his role. So I would go with the under for those points plus assists. What are you all's thoughts?
Mark, anything?
I was deferring to you. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I mean, Chris Paul has to score, right? Chris Paul has to score if Phoenix wants to win this game. Like, it's not a game where he could just have 9 points or 10 points.
Hold on, does he though? Because I'm looking at this at home. I think he has to facilitate. I think he has to find a way to get guys involved. So I can see the assists coming before I see the points coming for him. I think he's got to get 15 points, right?
Give me a number.
Can he give you 15 points and 10 assists? Yes. But is that going to get you 26
points? Get you home.
He's only had 10 assists once in the entire series.
Yeah. I mean,
he's been below that number consistently, like well below. He had a 3, couple of 4s. He has not been good in this series.
Except the game he had 33.
Except the one. So he's played 1 game out of 6.
Right. That's why I said he's got to score if this is going to go over.
I agree. So you might as well just play the points then and forget about the assists.
Yeah, if you think that's the play. The other red hot chili propper for this game is, who do we have here? I'm looking at it. Dorian Finley-Smith. Was it over under 2.5 threes? Over under 2.5.
He's been interesting in this series. He's been interesting in this
series. He's had 2 interesting games.
Yeah,
kind of like you guys were talking about Al Horford. I think people are remembering 1 game from him.
Yeah, he had 8 threes in game 4. I mean, goodness gracious. He had a game where he had 8 threes. The rest of the series has been pedestrian. He's only gone over 2.5. He
had 4 threes in 1 game, though. 4 threes in game 3, I believe.
Yeah, he had 4 and 8, and then the other 4 games were all under. 2-0, 2 and 1. So I think 3-point makes, again, the total is so low. So it's hard to really back a lot of overs that correlate to points scored because there's only so much cake to be eaten in this game based on what the total is. And I would say Dorian Finney-Smith probably not the guy I would look to be the guy that pushes Dallas across the finish line. So if it's not a Luka points thing, I'm probably on the under today.
And worth noting, he has not gone over this 3 prop in Phoenix in the series.
That is a good note because the role players tend to play better at home. That is a very good note.
Yeah. Zeno, your thoughts?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to go anywhere near non-main players on props in a game 7. There's just too much variance. Yeah, somebody will step up. It's just hard to figure out who, right? Like, it's one thing if I'm talking about Giannis to Chris Middleton. It's a completely different thing if I'm talking about Luka to Dorius. I mean, not Luka. Sorry, Dorius Finney-Smith. You know, like I'm not. It's not a bet.
If he's got more than 2 names, probably you should throw him out, right?
I'm usually a fan of even number names. 2, 4, 6. You know, you get to 3, it's weird. Like
you get to 4.
Nobody with 3 names. I mean, you know, John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald, Mark David Chapman. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, what do we do? Like, you need a 4th, or you just stay with 2.
Celebrities with 3 names. No bueno. Athletes or celebrities, 3 names. 2 or 4?
No.
I'm going to try to think of a solid 3-name athlete. I'm trying to think of one.
Okay.
One's going to come to me before the end of the show, and I'm going to just blur. I'm
a Yankee fan. They got that. Isaiah kind of falafel.
Oh,
it's just not
falafel was terrible yesterday. It was terrible.
It was awful.
Got thrown out at third base on a meaningless play. Probably ruined that game for the Yankees.
Yep. So stay with the 3 names.
When we're looking at this game, though, in totality, Jared, do you have the splits up by chance for what?
Yeah.
So how is this game? What's the ticket distribution? What's the money distribution? What are we looking at here? Because it was at 6 yesterday.
So I'll start with Bucks Celtics. Everyone, the Bucks are a pretty heavily bet side at the only splits that I have right now are MGM. MGM does a good job sending them out really early. Bucks 71% of the bets, 65% of the handle. Suns 60% bets, 69% of the handle. Both unders are taking heavy money. 66% of bets on both unders, over 70% of handle on both unders. So it looks like Bucks under, Suns under is what the public has an appetite for so far this morning. That's
the Suns are taking.
I was going to say over at DraftKings.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Zeno.
Yeah. Over at DraftKings, I'm seeing 64% of the handle on the Suns, but the heaviest one is under 205.5 in Milwaukee and Boston. 86% of the handle is there. However, it's only 47% of the bets. So you're getting a little bit of a crossfire there that you have below 50% of the bets, putting 86% of the money out there. So whenever you see that, it's a telling sign.
Yeah. Over in both. Maybe both games go over today. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Game 7.
What does that tell you, though, when you see 60+% of money and bets coming in on one side and the number's still climbing in their favor, like with the Suns? I mean, it was 6 yesterday,
smart
6.5.
money.
We might see
you get reverse line movement, and that's always sharp money.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's there's other factors that could weigh in, but like
in the NFL, it's usually that way.
In the NFL, agreed, 100% indicator. NBA, it's so tough. I don't analyze the NBA lines as much as I do the NFL, so I don't want to speak too much about it, but it usually indicates sharp money. That is a fair thing to say.
All right, gentlemen. Well, let's talk about why we like the Mavs and the points today, because I believe, once again, we are squad riding on the same side here. So Mavs and the points is the play for the boys today.
Too many points.
I think we wait till 7, 8 o'clock tonight. I think we might get 7. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Too many points for game 7 for my blood.
Agreed.
It's Mavs or pass.
Couldn't agree more. Mavs or pass, and I just haven't seen enough, especially with the total being so low. I don't think that we're going to see a blowout today, right? I don't think that that's what this is telling us, right?
Game 7s are tough. Like, they're just one run, one streak, and you start feeling the pressure. I mean, you saw it. Now we'll get to the hockey games in a little bit, but all of those hockey games were just stone cold unders yesterday. So it's just, you just don't know how certain teams and certain players are going to react to that kind of pressure. But yes, I would absolutely lean towards the Mavs and way too many points in a game 7. Absolutely.
many points. Mavs defense, the way they've been defending Chris Paul and Devin Booker. There's just everything is just pointing to the Mavs for me. And I'll gladly pocket the 6.5. Like it even more later on if we can get 7. All right, let's go to the ice and finish things off. Jared, the overtime challenge. 0 for yesterday.
Woo!
0 for 3.
Yeah, 0 for yesterday.
6 for
it has not
43
been profitable. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be profitable either unless we get some insane run in the second round, which we very well could. I think the thing again this is why I'm glad that I have been spending time looking at these every night, because what it's telling me is that it's kind of giving you the script of where these series are going. Early on in the series, wide open, average margin of victory was over 3 goals per game. Now, yesterday we had all 3 games go under, all 3 games decided by 1 goal, or excuse me, 2 out of the 3 games decided by 1 goal. There was a late goal in Edmonton that pushed that one to 2. But the margins are tightening up. And I think that's what you're going to see tonight with these 2 games. And I probably wouldn't bet the over in either game. I would say unders or pass. And the home teams too. Now, someone on Twitter made a fair point that usually the home team in Game 7 is the better team because they have home ice, which is a very fair point. But the numbers are what the numbers are. The home team is 109-78, which is about 58.3% all time in NHL Game 7s. And also since 2005, the under is hitting at nearly 62% in Game 7s, 37, 23, and 9 pushes. And of course, yesterday, all 3 unders cash. So take that what you will. And then we look at tonight's games accordingly.
And as we look to those games, let's start with, listen, I've already warned, we got producer Jack in the chat. I've already warned him to log off. We're about to talk about the Pens and Rangers. I don't know if he's going to like what we're about to say.
Wait, Jack's here today? I thought he wasn't working. He's in the chat right now.
He's in the chat. He's lurking. He's watching the show.
Jeez.
For the burner account or what?
Let's talk about this Pens Rangers game because there is too much mystery for me to put out a play for this right now. We have rumors and reports that Sidney Crosby skated in practice yesterday. We don't know who's going to be between the pipes for the Pens, right? Because there's a chance Jari could play. There's too many factors that are unknown for me to place any kind of wager for sure, or to put together any kind of handicap because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in this game. But I'll open it up to you guys. Because I feel like we're all on the same page here. We don't know what's going to happen, right? But
I would say it's a correlating
playing would be a big deal.
It's a correlating bet situation. If it goes over, it's Pittsburgh winning. If it stays under, it's the Rangers. The better defense is the Rangers. It certainly benefits them. This is why they've struggled this entire series because they've been forced to play out of the style that they are used to, which is low-scoring, tight games. That's where they excel. If Shesterkin can find a way to stop the damn puck from getting behind him, they're going to be a lot better off. Like, you haven't seen him play this bad over a 6-game stretch at any point this year. You just haven't. He hasn't not been this bad or this inconsistent at all. So if this thing stays under, and if you guys are telling me that Game 7s are going to stay under, which I agree with, then it favors the Rangers 100%. And that's why, like, again, the first period for me, you guys know Zeno's periods. I love them. But the first period under here at plus 108, to me, it's juice to the over. So I'm sitting here going, if the goals are going to come, they're going to come early. I don't think they're going to come late. I don't see this scenario where you get 1 goal in the first period and then all of a sudden you get a flurry of goals later on in the game as they get warmer and the flow of the game starts to pick up a little bit. So for me, it's just a correlating bet situation.
You know what, Zeno?
Totally agree.
You just inspired my mind a little bit. Don't take that.
That's what I do.
But you just inspired me a little bit. I do have a play for this game. I'm going to roll with the under 6.5 in this game. And I forgot about a tweet that I saw earlier this morning that since 2005, Game 7 unders have hit 60% of the time, right? Unders went 3 yesterday. I think that, did you just, you just gave that out? Was I sipping water when you said? I was sipping water when you saw
37, 23, and 9, 61.6%. That includes yesterday's game.
So Jared subconsciously inspired my mind. It wasn't you.
Well, it was John Ewing from MGM that sent out the tweet, and then I just added.
Okay, that's
yesterday.
That's the tweet I saw. Yes.
There we go. John does a great job at MGM with the data. He does a really good job.
So the under would be my play for this because I agree with you. I think it is a correlating bet situation. I do think the Rangers are going to win this game, but I think the under is probably the safer play for me.
Yeah, 100%. But the one thing that scares me is Shesterkin loses his mind for one period and gives up 3 goals.
Yeah.
Like that, I just, and again,
Is it Shesterkin though? Is it him or is it the line?
It's here. It's
him.
this.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with the body. It's the mind.
Between the ears, not between the pipes.
For stretches of games that just we haven't seen that. And Mark is right. And if you take a 6-game stretch, I don't think we've seen him play this poorly for a 6-game stretch all season.
No,
it's very bizarre.
Never. And the other handicap I have for this game is, look, Penguins plus 1.5 feels like the right side. I'm never going to endorse paying $2 to 1. Like, I'm just not going to do it. It's not where I'm ever going to be comfortable. So I'm not saying I'm going to play this, but that's probably the right side. If the Rangers win this thing, the only way it's a 2-goal win is if they get an empty netter. That's the way, just the game script I see going down.
Totally agree.
So if it's not Rangers winning by 1 or Penguins winning outright, plus 1.5 feels like the right side. It's just too much juice for me.
So I'm fortunate that I bet Rangers to win the series at minus 110, and this money line obviously is significantly higher than that. So I don't need to bet this game. And if you've been following the show since the playoffs started, hopefully you're also holding a Rangers series ticket, and you basically have a money line bet on the Rangers today at minus 110, which is a very, very strong position to be in. And I don't think we need to touch anything else. But I agree, if you're going to bet the total, it's under. If you're going to bet the first period, third period, second, doesn't matter. The unders have been the sides of weight in Game 7. So I would say if you're holding a Rangers series ticket like we are, you don't need to touch anything on the side. If you want to get involved with the total, the under's the only way to play it, I think.
I agree. All right, let's look at that other game here. Stars at Flames. It's been an interesting series here. Calgary, the favorite. That totals 5. So we're doing all this talk about the unders here. I don't think you can get me to go with an under 5. I think that's little. I think my only hockey play today is going to be on that Rangers Pens game. That only under that I'm going to play there.
It's going to be 1-0 final.
Do you all have any plays for this? Because as tempting as it would be to look at that under 5, I can't get myself there. Is that the lowest total that we've seen?
I'll do the under 5.
Mark likes it.
Okay.
I like it too. I wouldn't bet the over. That's for damn sure.
I'm not going to fight it. At plus money, I'm not going to fight it.
I agree.
Okay.
Now, you might get burned late by an empty netter, which, could be 2-1, 3-1 late. You get burned by an empty netter. That happens.
But you push. But in that case, you push. Yeah, if it was 5.5, it's a different conversation.
This game is going to be very under. And you can prevent that empty net situation by going to your period. What's the 1.5 period? It's probably incredibly juice.
Minus 134 in the first.
That's not bad. Under 1.5 first period, minus 134.
No. Especially
That's
for one for where 4 of the 6 games the first period under is hit. So
I would say that would
endorsing that
in the full game, because I am petrified of empty nets in the playoffs in Game 7. These coaches have been so aggressive. They've been pulling so early, and it's just it is a sweat and a half when that net is empty and you have the under. Like, that is like you are completely exposed. You have no protection at all. But in the first period, you're good there. So that's the way to pay for some insurance on the empty net, is to bet the first period under. And if the first period goes over, you would think you'd get 5.5 to the under for the full game if you want to live bet it. You would think.
I like it. All right, let's wrap this thing up, boys. Jared, we got any 3-star plays on the site before we get to our plays of the day?
Good question. Let me hit a refresh here. Yesterday, so I got involved with some of the Belmont racetrack picks yesterday. Martin Pennington does a really good job. We do not have any 3-stars today. So you're just stuck with us. You're stuck with us, friends. Deal with it. You can
go read my write-up on the Suns Mavericks on the Pickswise.
I would encourage that, because if I recall, when I was looking at some standings yesterday in our Pickswise content tab, you are crushing the NBA caps this year, sir. So tip of the cap, full bird, going double bird on the NBA caps.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, Jared, go ahead. Hold on. No, Jared, go ahead. Give us your play of the day so Zeno and I can look at you, feel bad for you, and give you our thoughts.
This is a first for me today. And it makes sense. This is the first time that I'm betting a first inning pod, right? There you go. Sorry. I'll be here all week, guys. Don't forget, tip your waitresses. Listen, Baltimore and Detroit, we have discussed these two teams at length. Yesterday, we talked about them. We discussed them earlier in shows about how neither of them, especially Baltimore, Detroit more recently, a black hole of first inning runs. Just they're completely devoid. 3 times in 34 games, both teams, that's under 9%. And what did I tell you earlier? The average scoring rate in the first inning in Major League Baseball this season is 28.23%. So Baltimore and Detroit are well under the scoring average. The argument against positive regression, you would think at some point the offenses, whether it be randomness, whether it be just better play, will score in the first inning. But when they're facing each other, I have to bet this. And I'm breaking my rule. Usually I'm only plus money on these, but it's a cheat day. I am breaking my rule today, and I'm putting this as a pod because these two teams are just so inept at scoring in the first inning. Baltimore, Detroit, NRFI, minus 120. I got those odds at Bet365. The pitching matchup, Tyler Wells, he's 4-2 to the NRFI. Nothing to write home about. Tariq Skubal is actually one of the better pitchers on the Tigers staff. 3-2 to the NRFI this year, and I'm just going to hope that these inept offenses continue to be inept. And now feel free to roast me and tell me why Baltimore is going to ruin my day.
I'm not even roasting the play because it's not a bad play. I just couldn't imagine putting my hard-earned money behind anything Orioles related. Anything Orioles
I did it yesterday. Just for a little sprinkle to kind of get involved.
The Orioles have been a very good plus 1.5 run line team this year. They have been.
That's a good point.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
They have been. I did see that.
They actually, I think they have more wins than I expected them to have at this stage in the year. They're not like completely.
Well, their total, their total for the season was what, 62.5?
Yeah, I think I'm going to lose that bet. I think I'm going to lose that bet. I made it preseason. I fully admit that I think the Orioles are playing now. It's only May, could change in June and July, but right now they're playing, I would say, above expectations, but not in the first inning. Not in the first inning.
One of my Zeno, you'll appreciate this. One of my cousins, I was talking to him the other day, and he was like, "Man, I really want to go to Camden Yards." And I was like, "Why? For what?"
Because it's the best ballpark in baseball.
It is a really nice ballpark.
It's a beautiful park, and Jimmy Seafood is in there. Free plug, but so great food there too. They do have the crab dogs there as well. The crab is cold. The crab is cold, so be warned. It's okay, but they do have Jimmy Seafood in there now, so that's good stuff. Zeno, your play of the day.
Go back to the NBA, an insanely low total in the Phoenix Suns Dallas Mavericks game at 205. But what I'm going to focus on here is the Phoenix Suns and their team total over 105.5. Phoenix has been on fire at home in this series. They're shooting 54% from the field and 43% from three. They should hit this number. If they want to win this game, they have to hit this number. Give me the Phoenix Suns over 105.5 as a team total here for my play of the day.
Love it. All right. I called the audible, right? My play of the day was Bobby Portis, 8.5 rebounds. And you all locked that in now because I've just pivoted off it, which means that is definitely going to hit. And now we are looking at Kyle Wright because I decided that in 30 minutes I want to just sit here, cut on Peacock, and watch Kyle Wright deliver for me and my over 5.5 strikeouts at plus 124. Great bounce back spot for him after a terrible outing against the Red Sox. Hasn't cleared 5.5 strikeouts in back-to-back games, but has cleared it in 4 of 6 outings so far this season. Struck out the Padres 9 times earlier in the season. Got an early start. I think that Kyle Wright is going to deliver for me today. This Padres lineup has really struggled against this Braves pitching staff so far in the series. So they just struck out 12 times yesterday against Charlie Morton. So I'm looking for Kyle Wright to bounce back in a big way today. Plus money, I think we're getting a great price and a buy low spot for Kyle Wright. So, I mean, Bobby's going to have 15 rebounds, and Kyle Wright's going to finish with 5 strikeouts in 7 innings, and it's going to be a great outing for him. But it's just going to be that's what's going to happen today, right? Like I'm well with that. I just know definitely going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm fully expecting the rage tweet later of the K-Box on the the K box there where
Oh
the
my
ball
God.
is
No,
inside
no,
the
hold on.
strike zone, but it's called a ball, and it was ball 4 instead of strike 3. That's coming.
That has been sent to you before. Hold on, I'm going to try to pull it up real quick before we get out of here. Because
I know. Listen,
I have sent
yes,
this to Zeno
he
before.
has sent me a
when
K
I'm
box
like, wait a
before.
minute. I'm like, wait,
He has
we
sent me a
need
K
one
box
more
before.
strikeout, and this is what's called a ball? Like, are we kidding? What are we doing right now? Bring on the robot umpires. Put chips in the balls. Give me the automated strike zone. Hold these umpires accountable. I'm for all of it. Give me all the changes.
The umpires have had a really rough year. I think we're in the age of like umpire empowerment where these guys really think they are the show. And maybe they're younger, or maybe they're younger and they're a little overzealous, or they're older and they're like, just jaded. But it's getting absurd with these umpires, man. It really is.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But what can we do other than bringing the robots, put some chips in the balls? Listen, the USFL did it. They figured it out, right? The USFL put chips in balls. So
I see it in cricket. It's automated now. Like, just if they can figure it out in New Zealand for cricket, like, why can't they figure it out here in the States?
Tennis.
I don't
How
get
quick is tennis? Was it out?
Oh,
let's just go to the replay. Let's look. And yeah, it was out. Like, it's that simple. Every other sport can figure it out but baseball. I don't know. And the NFL, where we're still using chains to measure things, but that's a whole different discussion. We can talk about it much more later.
Another one.
Let's wrap this thing up. That'll do it for us today. For Jared and Mark, I'm Alex. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Good luck with your bets.